The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sorantos.
Welcome back to the Songwriter Show, everyone. I'm your host, Sorantos, a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics and music forever. I sincerely appreciate you coming on the show tonight, and I'd like to welcome both our guests as well as all listeners. The Songwriter Show is broadcast in all 206 countries in the world and every single state in America. So I hope you enjoy the show tonight. And I want to talk about our first guest, who's Zach Blair. Zach has a very interesting story, and I'm very happy to have him on the show tonight. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So when did this passion for music start for you?
I would say I've loved music my whole life. Ever since I was a little kid, I truly just remember just being such a big fan of different just artists, and I always have been listening to music that my parents played. So ever since I was young, really.
And was your family musical, or were they not?
Absolutely. My dad, he originally moved to Nashville from West Virginia to pursue his music dream. So, growing up as a kid, there was honestly a guitar in just about every room in my house. And, so it definitely got me interested in it and kind of got me curious with it from a young age.
Would you say the guitar is your main instrument of choice, or do you play something else that you prefer over that?
It's definitely my instrument of choice, but I've been trying to learn different instruments, but playing guitar is definitely my favorite thing to do.
Okay, and then Zach, tell us a little bit about your process when you're sitting down to write a song. Do you start with lyrics, melody, music, or just you and your guitar? How do you work it?
I guess it just depends. Sometimes, if I have a hook or something that I'm trying to go and develop, I'll think about it more lyrically. But a lot of times I just sit down and, I'm just strumming around or playing cool progressions that I think sound good and try to, make something of them, honestly.
Okay. And do you try to write every day, or do you just try to write, on the weekend, or how do you work that?
I definitely try to write every day. I mean, I definitely play every day. I guess it just depends on if I get something written that day, but I'm definitely always trying to write every single day.
Okay. And how do you decide, do you have a process of how you decide what makes it to a CD or what you're going to even cut? Do you have people you run it by? Do you have, a sounding board?
Well, I would say that there's definitely things that I write that after I write them, I know that no one probably never ever needs to hear them, probably for good reason. But I guess that's just part of it. And definitely, I play songs that I write for my peers and just from, I play a lot for my brother. My brother hears me play all the time. And, so it's definitely easy for them to tell me what they like versus what they don't, I would say.
Okay. And what I've heard some of your stuff. Is there a certain style you like to stick to? Or do you like to experiment and try a bunch of different things and see what sticks?
I would say I've always liked different kinds of music. And, when it comes to genres and as a whole, I've always enjoyed just all kinds of different music. So, I try to take all kinds of different influences and different, pieces from other people's stuff and try to, make something original with myself. So I definitely say I definitely take things from all kinds of different places.
Okay. And what any movies you've seen recently that have influenced you that you want to talk about that inspire something within you?
I would say actually the most recent thing that I've watched the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville came out with a documentary a couple of weeks ago. I believe it was brand new, and I watched that, and it kind of told the story about many people, coming, writing songs and playing the iconic Bluebird Cafe for Nashville. And it just told a lot of stories of, hit songwriters and great musicians. So, watching that, it definitely inspired me and kind of shined a light on just all the people who were chasing the same dream, and definitely inspired me.
Yeah. When I was reading your bio, it said you're a soft-spoken 20-year-old, and I think that's exactly how I describe you just by talking to you. You seem very, very humble. You do seem passionate. I loved how you had this quote of, "There's no point in attempting to do things you aren't passionate about." I completely agree. And it's kind of cool to talk to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on the show. I really appreciate you.
No problem. What's the coolest thing that's happened to you in Nashville in the last year that you want to share with our audience?
Well, I'd say in the last year, something that's been just super cool and honestly life-changing is that I've had the chance to, make music on my own and let my peers and people, all my supporters, hear music. And, my whole life, I definitely dreamed of making my own music. And, I hear many influence of mine. And, one of my biggest influences here with me, Mr. Rick Huckabee. And, so just getting to make music and let people hear it is definitely was something that's been one of the most inspiring and probably biggest moments, I'd say, for sure.
Yeah. How, Zach, how often you try to, do a gig or do tour?
I do not. And, I'm definitely, that's something that I'm working on. And, being relatively new to music and the music scene, that's one thing that, has been one of my biggest goals for 2020 is just, getting out and playing more and letting people hear the work that I've been putting in and, just keep chasing the dream.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. Do you teach music at all to anybody?
I wouldn't say I'd necessarily teach music, but I definitely, if anyone's ever curious or ask questions to me, I study music business at MTSU. And so I'm definitely around a lot of different musicians and a lot of people who are kind of doing the same thing. So I guess there's definitely times where when it comes to whether it's music theory or just questions when it comes to guitar, obviously, if anyone ever wants to know or runs anything by me, I'm always glad to share information or share any of my knowledge that I can share.
Yeah. What would you say, what kind of advice would you have for someone who's just starting this that you wish you would have known, a few years ago?
I'd probably have to say that to just be persistent with what you're doing and give it your all, because, with music and like anything else, a lot of times you define your own meaning for success. And, it's easy to get caught up in other people's definitions of success. But if you just give it your all and you truly love music and you're willing to chase that and know that's your dream, then at the end of the day, you're going to be successful with it. And it's really not anyone else's opinion on your music or opinion on your success, honestly.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the way I look at it too, my friend, is I think success is defined differently by different people,
Absolutely.
We all have, or some of us have day jobs, some of us tour, some of us don't tour, but success is what you want it to be. And you can shoot for a very different, what we define as success is different than what Justin Bieber defines as success. So to each their own.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What were you like in high school, Zach, if I can ask?
Man, well, in high school, I would definitely say I was very outgoing and, sometimes at my own expense, sometimes making other people laugh was too much of a goal of mine. And I liked seeing other people laugh, and sometimes it got me in a little bit of trouble, but I was definitely, I would say, kind of played that class clown role a little bit, but, I would say that I definitely had a good relationship with many people from high school and was very, some people have different groups, might be friends with this friend group or, be cool with the jocks or whatever. But I felt like I had a pretty big respect for so many different people at my school. So it was just, I'm trying to be cool with everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Do you have any advice to a young budding singer-songwriter on how to make connections, whether it be in Nashville or just anywhere in general? Is there some secret sauce or something they should know?
I wouldn't say there's necessarily any specific formula, but I would say that if you're just a people person and you treat everybody with kindness and respect, then people will do their best to help you get where you're trying to go.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about, do you read any comic books? You a Marvel, DC fan, or?
Well, my cousin actually is a huge comic book fan, and he's always been into superheroes and things of that sort. But he got me into, actually, oddly enough, I've always loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's something that my cousin got me into, and I've always just loved, and I've always thought was super cool. So ever since I was a little kid, we were always just messing around with those. So.
Dude, I love the Turtles, man. Turtle power. Who's your favorite? Donatello, Michelangelo? It's got to be one of those, right?
Donatello, repping the purple, for sure. Repping the purple for sure.
Oh my God! I went to I don't know where I was. I went to someone's surprise party at some bar, and they had like all these old video game machines, and they had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game. I don't know if you remember that. And I was having like flashbacks. I used to love that thing.
I bet that was a great moment for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's turn a little serious here. So one of the things I like to ask a lot of songwriters on the show, because I feel like we're a tight-knit community, we want to protect each other, but tell us about any scam that you know of that you want to warn us about, or one you fell for, and just so we can protect each other.
I guess I can't necessarily think of off the top of my head any specific scams that I've been a part of recently, but I guess when it comes to advice on things of that nature, just trying to, keep your head up and assess situations before, and just always, I guess, just kind of use your best judgment when it comes to things, because a lot of times if you don't, they might catch you slipping, but you just can't let the scammers catch you slipping, I would say. That's all I can think of.
Yeah. Okay. What's the strangest compliment you've ever gotten for your lyrics or your music?
The strangest compliment, I would say, that's a tough one. I would probably say that, some people, I've had people compare me to some artists that I might not think, off the top of my head, that I might be like, okay, well, I might not have expected to be compared to certain artists, but when they do, I always take it in good nature and good fun when they do. But I guess that's all I can think of, is maybe being compared to people that I might not have expected, but
Okay. Any apps on your phone that you can't live without?
I wouldn't say there's any specific app that I could not live without, because a lot of times, I try not to be too invested when it comes to my phones or technology, but I would probably say if there was one, I'd have to say maybe Snapchat.
Okay. Before I forget to ask you, Zach, tell us a little bit about your website, your socials. Where can fans or other songwriters hook up with you?
Gotcha. Well, all my social media is Zach Blair Music. That's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And you can also check me out at Zach Blair on Spotify or Apple Music and pretty much any music. And also my website is Zach Blair Music. If you want to check that out as well.
Okay. Any hidden superpowers that you have? I know you said you like Donatello, but anything that you confess that you have as a superpower?
Man, I wish I had one to confess, but I sadly do not. I sadly do not.
All right. Well, when they sign us up for some Marvel or DC movie, we'll talk about it later.
Hey, we'll definitely have some conversations for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about this song we're going to hear in a couple of minutes here. What inspired it? What do you want us to know about it?
Well, the title of the song is "Candle to You," and it's just a song that I'm very proud of, and actually got to write it with Mr. Rick Huckabee, who's here with me. And I'd say one of the most reasons I'm so proud of that particular song is that growing up as a kid, I was such a fan of Rick Huckabee's music, and I'd listened to his music from the time I was a little kid. So getting to actually write a song and have a song produced with him, that was something that I'll always be thankful for, and I'll always be proud of.
Awesome. Okay. What's the last gift you gave someone, Zach?
Wait, what was the question? I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
That's okay. What's the last gift you gave someone?
The last gift, I believe that I gave probably my brother. I give my younger brother. I give him a lot of things, just whether they're old things of mine or just things that I know he'll enjoy. So I believe I buy my brother I probably buy my brother more things than I buy myself, honestly. And I bought my brother a Pro Mini hoop for his room. My youngest brother, and because he's super into basketball, just he's always doing something with that. So I bought him a Pro Mini hoop, and we play sometimes when we can. But that's the last gift I can remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, wow. What do you like to work towards in your free time? Any hobbies or anything other than music that floats your boat?
Well, I'd say my favorite thing is definitely playing guitar, and that's when I have free time, I'm definitely always doing that. But if I'm not doing that and I can choose what I'm doing, I'd say I love playing pickup basketball still. I love playing, whether it's 5-on-5 or just going to a rec center, and I use it as something just to kind of stay in shape and do, but I definitely enjoy playing still.
Yeah, that's cool. And as your bio says, right, you like to keep your eye on the ball. So that's how often you try to play basketball? Is it once a week or more than that?
I wouldn't say maybe once a week. I would say I definitely use it as cardio and try to stay in shape. So maybe once a week if I have time, but usually I'm not having as much to play basketball as I wish I could. But
yeah, okay. All right. So you cannot answer Illinois since I'm from Chicago to this question, but if I gave you the power to get rid of one state in America, which one would you get rid of and why?
Man, I don't know if I could. I don't even know if I could choose one because I love America as a whole so much. I'd feel terrible. Eliminate any of them.
All right. How about the weirdest thing you've eaten in the last year?
Weirdest thing I've eaten. I don't know. I might say something that I love that sometimes people say that a lot of people don't like. I like eating sushi, and a lot of people aren't about sushi. But man, I think it's pretty good, and that's something that actually one of my favorite things to eat. So,
is there a lot of sushi in Nashville? I've been there a couple of times. I don't remember seeing any sushi places. I'm sure there's somewhere though, right?
Oh, they definitely have great places, many places, and. I mean, that's definitely one of my go-tos, honestly.
Oh, okay. What? Who would you like to play with, dead or alive, if you could pick one musician?
I would definitely have to answer and say I've always been a big John Mayer fan, and I'm a big fan of what he does and just the way he does things. And I feel like if I ever got a chance to play with him, I might learn a lot of things from him, and just so I definitely have to choose John Mayer.
Yeah, wow. I can see. I can see that just in listening to some of your stuff and checking out your vibe and all that. I think that's really cool. Zach, do me a favor. Give us your website and your socials again for the fans so they can listen to your stuff once the show's over too.
Got you. My website is zachblairmusic.com. And all social media is Zach Blair Music on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well. And then you can also check out my music on Spotify, Apple Music, or anywhere else you can stream music.
That's awesome. All right, Zach, man. It was a blast having you on the show. Hope to have you on again some other time.
Gotcha.
And
Thank you.
I wish you nothing but the best, my friend, okay?
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. So now we're going to hear, this is Zach Blair's song. And I love in his bio, there's no point in attempting to do things you aren't passionate about. So think about that as you listen to this song. So we're going to hear it from the soft-spoken 20-year-old right now. Here we go.
If you were a feeling, you'd be blue sky diving. 'Cause you've got me falling, but it feels like flying. If my heart was a box full of vinyl rock and roll, just in case you didn't know, girl, you'd be my Abbey Road. I know there's 4 billion other girls in the world, yes I do. But not a single one of them could ever hold a candle to you. Hold a candle to you. If I were a book, you'd be words on my pages. If you were my last dollar, girl, I'd save you. Anytime, any place, anywhere that ain't with you is like looking at the ocean from a room without a view. I know there's 4 billion other girls in the world, yes I do. But not a single one of them could ever hold a candle to you. Hold a candle to you. Anytime, any place, anywhere that ain't with you is like looking at the ocean from a room without a view. 'Cause I know there's 4 billion other girls in the world, yes I do. Oh, but not a single one of them could ever hold a candle to you. Hold a candle to you. Hold a candle to you. No one could hold a candle to you.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Well, I want to thank Zach for being on the show. That was a great song, man. And now I want to introduce our second guest, Soitan. Soitan's biggest passions in life are psychology and music, which he's made his entire life. Welcome to the show, Soitan. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, thanks. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. So I detect a little bit of an accent. Why don't you tell the audience where you're from?
Yeah, so I'm from Finland, which is a small country in Europe.
Wonderful. So Finland is on my bucket list. I want to hit like every country in Europe, and I've not been to Finland yet. So tell me, what do I have to do if I make it to Finland one day?
Okay, I would say definitely go in the summer because winter is like really freezing. That's like my first tip. So.
Okay. And is there a certain activity or a certain city or a certain thing I just have to do?
Well, I would say definitely go to the capital and some kind of, go and check out the forests and, go and check out the nature and the lakes, of course. It's called the the country of thousand lakes. So.
Wow, Thousand Lakes. Didn't know that. Okay. So tell us a little bit about what got you down this road of music. How old were you? Did something happen to you? How did you fall in love with music?
Yeah, actually, music has always been played in my house because my dad is a pianist also. So not like professionally, just like a hobby, but he has always been playing classical music, and that like got me into that road to start playing music. Sitting just in front of the piano and playing the piano until it started to sound good, kind of.
And is piano your main instrument?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And do you write, when you write music, I assume piano is where you start and end?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, definitely. Like in my music, melodies are the most important thing, I think, in my music. Usually when I make music, I work with other artists, and they come with the like with the lyrics and that part, the song part. I mostly, produce the music, but I always want to have some kind of like message in the music that works with my brand, with psychology and self-improvement and development and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're more like the music producer, and you take care of the music, and you partner with lyricists and people who do the lyrics. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you say melody, do you help them with the vocal melody, or are we just talking about the main theme of the song and the riffs and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I actually prefer if people like come with the song and the lyrics to me, and then I come up with a killer melody to that. But usually it's more like I come up with the melody, and then the songwriter comes up with like the lyrics to the song. But I'm always very like particular with what kind of message the lyrics also comes with.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you collaborate with people around the world? Do you just collaborate with people in Finland? How do you work that?
Yeah, usually it's like this far I have been collaborating mainly with people from the US actually. So that's interesting. I was close to starting to collaborate with another Finnish artist, but that was kind of our schedules didn't work well together, so we had to like put it on ice. So, but like I have worked with two artists from one from Florida and another one from Texas. So.
Okay. And if some of our listeners that are also songwriters, if they want to work with you, can you tell us your website, your information for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, for sure. I don't really have a website. I'm more like on social. So on Instagram, it's Soitan Official. Same on Facebook, but usually like on Spotify and places like that, it's just Soitan. But like on Instagram, it's Soitan Official.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about, is there a certain genre you focus on? Is it classical? Is it pop, rock? What do you like to do?
Yeah, so usually I like to mix genres. I like to experiment a lot. Like right now I'm more into like dubstep and EDM and that kind of vibe. But I also very much like to take influence from film music with like the melody part, having like cinematic melodies sometimes and things like that.
Yeah. Do you also do instrumentals and stuff for film and for TV?
I have been considering doing that, and I was also once offered to do soundtrack to a horror movie also. So
yeah, that's wonderful. I think there's a lot of revenue streams there, and I think for someone as talented as you, I think you can definitely, set yourself up a little bit with some of that stuff. So I think you should definitely look into that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think that if, no matter what kind of goal you have, like if you want to be a touring DJ or something like that, you can still, go to that route by doing like film music. It's like all roads lead to Rome, so to speak. Just don't be afraid to take a different path to your goal. You will eventually get there, whatever you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about, do you like to write every day? Do you like to write just when you're inspired? How does that work for you?
Yeah, so it depends a lot on how my schedule looks like because I'm a full-time student at university, so with homework and stuff like that. So, but usually it can very much, be like different process of how I make music. Sometimes it can be like I get inspired from film music or whatever song I hear that gets stuck in my head, and sometimes it can be just me being in front of my computer or my MIDI keyboard and my piano and just playing around and finding a melody. So it can be really a lot of different ways I come up with songs.
Yeah, wonderful. Any interesting stories you want to share with us? Anything weird happened to you in the last couple of months?
Yeah, not really. Like, I was like the entire last week I was like sick and I couldn't do like any music, and I got some kind of flu or something, and but not really like anything crazy.
Not the coronavirus, right?
No, but I was afraid because I got the cough, so I got a bit, afraid, but it's still kind of rare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about the song that we're going to hear in a few minutes here. What made you come up with it? What do you want to take away from it?
Yeah, so this time I actually, it was more the songwriter came up with the lyrics. Because I just wanted to work with her because she had so talented, voice and vocals. So but the song is about, it's kind of hard to explain, but she told me like it's about, that life is so much, or that society right now is like kind of that, we expect everything to come to us, so, fast and, like that immediately, like, material things, items and stuff like that. So we don't really appreciate everything that we have right now. So that's like what this song is about.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about when you look at writing a song, how do you decide if it's good enough for you to put out into the world?
Usually I don't think like that because I think more about quantity over quality, because I think quality is something that comes over time. So I like if you look at any, music producer or artist, their first songs are not that great, but gradually they improve and become better. So usually I just make a song and I do it as good as I can, and then I just put out. So every song I make usually gets released.
Okay. Is there a certain day of the week that you prefer dedicating to music, or do you just kind of do it every day?
Yeah, it's like what I feel like, mostly every day.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about any plans to do live shows in Finland coming up.
Yeah, definitely. So I have definitely I'm planning to start DJing. That's like one of the new things.
Now, is that something you've done before, or is that something you're going to branch off into?
Yeah, so I haven't like DJ'd ever. So I'm like I bought like a cheap MIDI or a cheap, DJ controller, and practicing on it. And then I actually, there is a local like venue that would be interested to have me playing there. But we will see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that something that you're going to combine with live music, or is that something you're just going to, you're just going to basically do a mixture, or are you just going to stick with DJing, or how are you going to work that?
Yeah, it could actually be. I have like played with the idea that I would, have some kind of loop playing, and then I would, come up with melodies, on the fly on stage. That would be a cool idea to try out. So I think I will start with DJing, but then I don't think I would limit myself to not, try to do more, also play piano, because when I was studying, when I was a kid, I was also studying in a music academy, classical piano music. So then I also performed a little bit, also my own music when I started out making music. So yeah. I could definitely get back to that also.
Yeah, I've wanted to do that myself. I've never done DJing, but I've always wanted to kind of do like a mixed kind of show. I thought that could be pretty cool, but let me know how it goes, my friend.
Yeah,
maybe that'll be the start of a trend, right?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. What's your any good books that you've been reading lately that you want to share with the audience?
Oh, well, I read a lot like psychology books. So definitely one book I always recommend it to everyone is Emotions Revealed by Paul Ekman. Like, that's a really good, psychology in general is really good, when you are in the music industry, because it's not just about music, it's also about the business side, about the marketing and, stuff like that. And psychology comes really handy in that. But the book Emotions Revealed is more about, your own emotion.
Hello? You still there, Soitan? I think we might have lost Soitan here, just when he was going to tell us about his book. So we had him for 2 more minutes here, so I'll put in some airtime here. One of the things I was going to tell him was I was a psych major in college, and I think it's very, very helpful, because I think the psychology of not just human beings, but anything, any profession, and especially the music business, whether we're trying to relate to the audience in our songs, whether we're trying to figure out how to work with each other, I think it's very critical. So I didn't get a chance to jot down that book that he mentioned, but when I listen to the show again, I'll try to get it. So I think we're going to get to his song about 2 minutes early here, and if we're able to get him back on the line, we can enjoy him for another 2 minutes. But we're going to hear Soitan's song right now, and I hope you enjoy it. Here we go.
How can we stand to see our general hypocrisy, our failure to society, our careless, countless industry, the multi-made everything, disposable, corruptible me, and yet you were not happy. Well, how could that be? Look out of the window, clearly resources or money, recyclable eternity, help another or die trying, when that's the reason that we're fighting, that's the reason that we're striving, that's the reason that we're buying 100,000 things we're denying, hoarding or downsizing, when the money's still dividing into aspects we didn't have to even touch yet. Now we're sighing, oh no wait, now we're signing. Don't forget the date when you trade yourself for the next nice thing. Your soul you really show show who can be like me. Look out of the window, clearly resources or money, recyclable eternity, help another or die trying. When that's the reason that we're fighting, that's the reason that we're striving, that's the reason that we're buying 100,000 things we're denying, hoarding or downsizing when the money's still dividing into aspects we didn't have to even touch yet. Now we're sighing, oh no wait, now we're signing. Don't forget the date when you trade yourself for the next nice thing. Your soul can really show we can be like it.
Well, I want to thank Soitan for being on the show tonight. That was definitely an EDM, very cool kind of song, a little trippy, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I really hope your own unique story gets heard around the world. And if you know any songwriters who wish to be on the Songwriter Show, please feel free to have them reach out to me. To end the show tonight, because in a few days here we got Valentine's Day, I'm going to leave you with one of my songs called Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day only comes around once a year. To some, it's a special day of love. To others, it's nothing more than a commercial holiday, and they find no special meaning to it. I feel like Valentine's Day is a very significant day every year. There are many rumors about its origin, but the one thing that I want to emphasize is, should there really be just one day of the year that we honor love? I think love is all around us, every single day. There's a love of a child, there's a love of a friend, a lover, a spouse. The list goes on and on. Love is different for all of us. While I feel that Valentine's Day is one of the most extraordinary days of the year, I also feel that it's not the only day that love should be celebrated. Let's take a moment each and every day to tell those in our lives that we love them. Let's honor them for what they do. There's no shame in that. Life can get really complicated sometimes, but love is simple. We make it much more complicated than it needs to be. Love is all around us. So I hope you have a great Valentine's Day. Love doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care whether you've been in love once or many times. It's going to smack us across our faces if it wants to. So think about love this Valentine's Day and have a great night, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
It's almost Valentine's Day. I'm wondering out loud, what is love and why is it allowed? Love is not for everyone. Love is sometimes elusive. Love can be found. Love can be effusive. If you find love, then you know that love is real. Real is love. Love is kind. Kind is love. Love is gentle. Gentle is love. Love is pure. Pure is love. It's Valentine's Day today. The world is still round. Where is love? Is it all around? Love is all around today. True love is free. Love can be found. Love, it is all around me. Real, real is love. Love is kind, kind is love. Love is gentle, gentle is love. Love is pure, pure is love. I'll think about heaven no love. Love is kind, kind is love. Love is gentle, gentle is love. Love is pure, pure is love. On Valentine's
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.